Okay, Caleb, Ryan Mills here, and we are going to do a video analysis for you. Uh, so I looked through your questionnaire, obviously. I read your comments, and love your goals. You sound like you really love pitching, so I'll be glad to help you. You sound very determined, and that's definitely the first part. You got to have that if you want to improve. So basically, your from reading your stuff, your issues are you know when you try to throw hard, you throw high, and when you try to slow down to get the ball down, then it's tougher for you to control. And then also you feel like you're rushing, your body's out in front of your arm, and you might be moving too fast down the mountain. Those are good observations. That's a good observation there. So I know you're doing momentum pitching, and with momentum pitching, any kind of movement, especially in the pitching delivery, we have to build up to ball release, right? It's kind of like a car accelerating, right? A car has to, it starts from 0 miles an hour. If it's going to go to 0 to 60, it's a progression, right, up to its top speed. So we want to build up into ball release. We want to be moving the fastest when we're releasing the ball. If we move too fast too soon, then our sequence gets out of whack, okay? Because each part of your body has to finish its part of the process before the next part of the body. If you think, okay, your foot, right, and you're here, then you're going to land, boom, boom, it comes up through here, and then eventually into the ball release, okay? So your body's just like a big kinetic chain, all right? And if you start a certain segment before the previous segment was finished, then you're going to be your timing's going to be off. You're going to be out of sequence, okay? So, and that's what's happening with you. You're moving way too fast in the beginning of your delivery that you're spending your energy too soon, and you don't have it left when you go to release the ball, okay? And a lot of what we're basically trying to do is we're building up energy into landing and then releasing it out front, okay? So do we want to move fast? Well, yeah. But that can be taken out of context, okay? It's not the faster we move, the harder we throw, okay? Because we have to have the sequence down properly, okay? So a lot of times, if our delivery is out of whack, we need to slow things down before we speed it back up. Because when we slow things down, we've got to get the rhythm down. We've got to get the rhythm and everything kind of synced up first at a slower tempo, okay? And then once you get comfortable and your timing's good and you've got good rhythm and you're very smooth and free and easy, then we'll speed up the tempo a little bit. And I just like to use three speeds: slow, medium, fast. Fast being your game speed. So right now you're just moving too fast, and but then your sequence is off, your timing's off. So we have to look at some of this stuff first. So I don't want to overwhelm you with all this. I'm going to make it very clear on what I'm going to suggest that you work on first, second, and third, okay? So first off, I've got you here side by side with, this is Aroldis Chapman. He's obviously the hardest thrower walking the face of the earth. So, but there's a reason why he throws hard, okay? Obviously, he's very talented, very gifted athlete, but he uses his body very, very well. Right here, I've got you guys synced up at ball release. If I go one more click forward, you'll see that you both release the ball right after that, okay? So, you're not releasing the ball necessarily right there, but it's somewhere, close. Now, just at ball release, if I draw a line from your nose straight down, and I do that for Chapman, he's somewhere around there. I think you could agree that his nose is somewhere around there. Okay. Okay, so you can see here where when you're releasing the ball, your head and your chest are behind your landing knee, right? And your trunk, your upper body flexion from your hip straight up is there. Okay, so you don't have much trunk flexion. Okay, and we get all of our power, Caleb, from our legs and our trunk, those big massive parts of our body. All right. So with Chapman, you can see how his head is out over his landing knee and his trunk flexion is there. Okay, so he's really releasing the ball out front. So not only is he getting more power from his upper body flexing forward into ball release, but he's releasing the ball that much closer to home plate, so it gives the hitter less time to react. All right. Excuse me. Obviously Chapman's 6'4" and you're 5'8", but obviously you're not even 15 yet. I don't know how tall you're going to get. Doesn't even matter. You don't need to be 6'4" to throw super hard. You can be. I mean, there's guys that are 5. There's a guy in the big leagues that's 5'7" that throws in the upper 90s, mid to upper 90s. So don't worry about that. But there's a sequence to this. Okay. So I'm going to bring it back so that you guys are synced up throughout your deliveries. Okay. Now, I want you to just focus on Chapman for to begin with. Okay. Actually, I'm going to take yours off so you don't even get distracted. Okay, Caleb. So actually, I'm going to show you two major league pitchers. The one on the left here is Carlos Martinez. He pitches for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he's listed about 5'11", 175. So he's a little bit smaller guy compared to Chapman. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to show you that these two guys look completely different. If you're watching on TV, they look completely different the way they throw. Their mechanics look different. But they're really doing the same fundamental things. There's certain things they're doing that are very similar, and those are like the foundation of your delivery. Okay? So actually, I'm going to make Carlos Martinez left-handed. Our software allows us to flip him around just so it's easier to compare and to understand the sequence here. Okay, so now Martinez is a lefty. So they're synced up at ball release. I'll bring it back so they're synced up throughout their deliveries. Okay, now I know you're not using a leg lift, and that's fine, but even if you're not using a leg lift, you're going to pick up your front foot, obviously, to get going down the mound. Okay, so the whole point of the leg lift or picking up your front foot is we need to get our weight on top of our back hip first. We got to get loaded up on top of our back hip. Okay. As soon as you pick up your front foot, really your center of gravity is going to be on the top of your back hip right here. Okay. So we need to be over our center of gravity as we move down the mound. Okay. Obviously, Chapman closes up his front hip a little bit more early, so we can't see his back hip, but it's right about there. Okay. So that's the first step. So again, even if you're not using a leg lift, you still want to pick up your foot and get on top of your back hip. All right. Now, from here, if I draw a line from their nose straight down, you'll see as I move the video forward to where they take the ball of the glove, they've shifted their weight. They've gained momentum away from the rubber towards the target. Now, keep in mind your delivery takes less than 2 seconds from start to finish. So really, all they're doing is they're getting up on top of their back hip, their bodies are sideways, and they're just leaning into it nice and tall, right? Now, as soon as they get their momentum going forward, now they're going to keep their momentum going forward, but they're going to now start to get lower on their back leg. They're going to start to sit on their back leg as they break their hands. Okay, so you can see they both get lower on their back leg. Chapman gets a little bit lower a little bit sooner, but either way, they're both getting lower on their back leg as they're breaking their hands. The reason why we want to get lower on our back leg is obviously we're landing on a lower part of the slope, so we need to get lower. But we also want to create leg drive. Okay, so we get lower as we're breaking the hands, and we continue getting lower until we take that ball down and back. Again, this is all happening very quickly. I'm just explaining it in terms. You're not going to think about it like this when you're making these corrections, okay? The way it looks, the way it feels is different. But once we get lower on this back leg here, okay, you can see they're both sideways. And you'll see that both of them have their front hip is higher than their back hip. And they both have a slight tilt with their shoulders as well. Okay? Nothing dramatic, but a slight tilt. What that does is, as they're moving down the mound, it keeps their weight over their back leg. Okay? We got to keep our weight over the back leg as we go down the mound. All right. So now, from this position, we're going to get leg drive, and that's basically our stride, okay? And we do that by pushing the rubber down and back towards second base, okay? Down and back. And that's going to get our hip and our body going out, and it really kind of goes up and out a little bit, okay? Because we're going down a slope, so we want to stay back as we're going down that slope with our upper body, okay? So pushing the rubber down and back towards second base, what that's called is called ground force reaction. And it's physics, okay? Newton's third law says it's called the action-reaction law. So when a body puts force on a second body, that second body returns the force in an equal and opposite direction. So basically, the first body is your back foot. The second body is the ground. Okay, your ground is the source of energy. So when you push the rubber down and back towards second base, that energy that you're pushing down on the ground comes back up through the ground into your back leg. And then it'll eventually, once you land, it'll go up into your upper body. Your upper body will whip your arm around, and then you'll apply force to the ball out front with your arm. Okay, so this is where we're going to apply force down and back into the ground to get us to stride out. And we stride out sideways. You can see both these guys are sideways in the same position. Okay? You'll see both of them get their glove arms up to shoulder height. Okay? Your glove arm's kind of like your scope. It's like you're looking down the barrel of your gun. You're directing it right at your target. You can use your lead elbow, your lead forearm, or your glove. Martinez looks like he uses his forearm, meaning this part of his arm, and then Chapman obviously is using his glove. Okay, so once we've gotten that ground force reaction by pushing down and back against the rubber, now we're going to make our turn into landing. So the lower body's going to turn, but also our upper body, when we push down and back against the rubber, once we push down and back, then our upper body, our chest, is going to puff up. And what that is it's our spine extending. So real quick, and I'm going to go over this again, but real quick, if you think about your upper body, okay, imagine like you're doing an overhead medicine ball throw, okay? You don't have to have a medicine ball. You can just imagine that you have one. So when you're standing up straight, your spine is just in a normal position, right? You're not hunched over. You're just in a normal position. Now, when you take the ball up over your head and then you take it back behind your head, your chest puffs up. You get that arch in your back, right? That's your spine extending, okay? So now to throw the ball, you're going to go from that extended, that arched back, chest up position. You're going to flex forward with your spine, and that's what whips your arms forward and actually throws the ball. Your arms are just like levers. The spine extending and flexing forward is what's providing the power. Okay? We obviously have a rotation in our delivery, but before that rotation starts, we want to extend. So we take that leg drive, that pushing down and back into the rubber, boom, and then immediately we're going to start to lift up our chest and get that arch in our back, right as we're putting our foot down to land, okay? And that spine extension, by puffing up the chest, is going to help get our arm up, okay? The upper body The trunk is what is, it's just catapulting the ball, your arm up, and once you rotate, it's going to just bring it around, get it out front, and then you're going to apply force with your forearm and wrist out front. But up until you get to just about ball release, your arm is not really involved. It's your body, okay? So the spine extends and gets the arm up. Then once we land, we have to brace our front leg. We really brace at the front hip, but usually easier to look at the front knee, okay? Because they're obviously connected by your upper leg bone, okay? So because it's just like in hitting, when you hit, you want to hit against a firm front leg, right? So you have more leverage. So if I go one click forward, or if I go back right here, okay, you can see both of them have their foot is down, it's touching down on the ground, but they haven't braced up yet, okay? You can see right there they brace up, because if I go one click forward, when their upper bodies start to rotate, you can see their knees don't go forward. So we know that they've braced up. They've stiffened up that front leg, okay? So now, once they've braced up, their trunk is now going to they're going to start to rotate and tilt forward with their shoulders. And that's what's whipping the arm around, okay? It's just bringing the arm around along for the ride. And then they're going to start to flex forward as they square up. Now, this is where we're going to apply force to the ball with our forearm and wrist out front. And then our upper body and our hips are going to rotate around our front leg as we finish, okay? So, let me come back up. And I'll go through it real quick. We get up on top of our back hip, we shift our weight, then we get lower as we break the hands. Once we get all the way low on our back leg, then we're going to push down and back into the ground, and then extend the spine. Lift up the chest, which will get our arm up, then we put our foot down. Then we're going to rotate and tilt. Then we're going to flex forward, then apply force to the ball with the arm, and finish around our stride leg. Okay, so two totally different bodies, two totally different individuals, both high velocity throwers, but you can see that they're really doing the same thing. Okay, Caleb, so now we'll look at you compared with Chapman. So I've got you guys synced up at ball release. We'll bring it back, get back to the beginning. Okay, so obviously he's lifting his leg, so it's going to take a little bit longer. So if I draw a line from your nose straight down and a nose straight down from him, and I move forward, okay, so you shift your weight before you even pick up your front foot. Okay, so really by the time you pick up your front foot, you're if I get rid of those lines, you're not really over your back hip. Okay, if you look at it like this, weight on top of the back hip, you can see how his knee is right over, or let me do it this way. His throwing shoulder is right over his back hip. Okay, so we got the throwing shoulder here, back hip right here. Okay, then the hip is right over the back knee. Here's the back knee, and the back knee is right over the back ankle. Okay, so we've got all that. All of our body's weight is really over that back hip here. Okay, so when you finally pick up your front foot, right there, if I draw that line, you can see where your hip is out in front of everything else. Here's your shoulder, here's your knee, here's your ankle, here's your hip. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to pick your front foot up first and get up on top of that back hip, then start falling. Okay, then you'll be loaded up over your backside. Okay, now that's where you get out in front of yourself right off the bat. All right, now once you break the hands, you can see your back leg's pretty straight. Then you start to get lower with your upper body, but your back legs doesn't get much bend in it. Okay, so we can't get as much leg drive, right? Now also, what do we see with that glove arm, right? Here's Chapman's, there's yours. Okay, now think about it. We're throwing down a slope, right? This is the angle of the slope. So when we go into landing, Chapman is going to pull that glove down towards his front hip, almost like he's elbowing himself in his front hip. Okay? And you can see how he goes from shoulder height, then he's going to go down. And that's going to help him get that front shoulder tilt as he's going to land so that he can throw downhill and out over his stride leg. With you, when you get your leg drive right there, which you get more if you stayed over your back hip in the beginning and then started to fall and get bend right away. Okay? But with your gloves starting low, basically it just pulls to the side, and you can see here where you've got your shoulders are tilted the other way. Your front hip is higher than your back hip. Where now, like I said earlier, early on, we've got this kind of tilt, right? Like we're tilting back a little bit, slightly. And you have that. Your hip is a little bit, you've got a little bit, but you can see it's not like your shoulders, okay? So what you can do is you can kind of, when you go to do that leg drive, just kind of show the bottom of your shoe, your front foot, bottom of your shoe to the target. See Chapman there with the bottom of his spikes? That gets his hip, boom, right here. And see where yours is almost tilted this way. Okay? And that'll help you get over your backside better. All right? So kind of show the bottom of your shoe to the target and get your glove arm up higher. Then when you land, you'll see Chapman, he's got this angle, right, with his hips and his shoulders. They got that backwards tilt. Now, as he goes into landing, watch the difference. Now, he's going to get his upper body going up and over so that now, going into landing, right here, his back hip is higher than his front hip, and he's got some shoulder tilt forward because we're going down that slope, right? Where you have the opposite. Okay? And you can see how Chapman doesn't just like elbow, with the lead arm. He doesn't just come down and elbow his front hip. He brings his glove towards his body, but he also brings his upper body towards his glove. Then he lands. Now, once he lands, he's just going to rotate, flex forward out over that stride leg. And it's a lot easier for him to throw harder because he's not throwing behind anything, like his front leg. He's throwing out over it. Okay? So when you land, so basically you need to use that leg drive to take you up and out, and then the glove up and out. Then you're going to start bringing your chest to your glove and getting the other way, tilting the other way, starting to tilt downward before you land. Then your arm will be up higher, and then you'll be able to throw out over your front leg. And you're going to love it. It's going to feel like it's way easier. But it's going to take some time to get the feel for that, okay? Now, one thing I didn't mention is I didn't mention arm action, okay? So I'll show you from the side here, but one thing we do is during our stride, our arms are lengthening, right? They're just spreading out here. You can see you both guys have your arms spread out. Now, when we go to land, we shorten the arms, meaning the glove is going to come in towards our body, and then as the arm is getting up, it's going to come in towards our head, okay? And then when we go into rotation, we want the ball to lay back, the forearm and the ball to lay back behind our head. So Chapman's got unbelievable layback here, okay? That's something that he's very flexible. And you can see when his forearm and the ball is laying back behind his head, your forearm and the ball stay out away from you, okay? So you get less whip. Because you want to think about your upper body, this big massive part of your body is like the handle to the whip. Your arm's the whip, this is the handle to the whip. So we need the whip to be loose, okay? So, throwing a baseball with velocity is not about muscling the ball there. Okay, it's about being free and easy, and it's about having a smooth, fluid delivery with good tempo, and and using your back leg and using your upper body. But the arm's just pretty much along for the ride until right before you release, and then you apply force. Okay, so your arm stays out away from you, and you just kind of long arm it, and it doesn't have as much whip. So that's what I'm going to have you focus on first, because really your arm action, just your basic throwing mechanics, is the foundation of your delivery. Once your arm action is working properly, and your arm, it's not that your arm action is bad, but it can get better. So that's the most important thing. I'm going to give you some videos. I'm going to put them up right now of myself demonstrating the proper arm action. The first video, they're just short little clips. The first video, I'm using a water bottle. It's about a third of the way full, and it's so you can feel the water shifting, and I'll explain it in the video. So I'm going to post those up there right now so that you have them. You can refer back to them at any time, and then once that's over with, then we're gonna then I'll tell you exactly what I want you to work on once you've gotten the arm action down. Okay, but before I put those videos up, I'm going to show you a front angle of Chapman and yourself, just to see a different angle with that arm action. Okay, Caleb, so real quick, front angle. So this is right at ball release. You can see where Chapman is really releasing the ball out front, and you're releasing the ball way back behind. Okay, if I go one click forward, you can see, and right there, you're just releasing the ball way up too high. You're not out over your leg. Okay, but that's not that stems from the beginning of your delivery, getting your body into a better position. So let's go all the way back to the start. We'll just look at a different angle here. So right here, Chapman gets up on top of his back hip, then he gets lower. See how he kind of sits on his back leg like that? It's almost like he's doing a one-legged squat almost, except he's not getting that low. But he's sitting on his back leg, and he's showing the bottom of his spikes to the catcher. You're starting to, but you need to do it more. Okay? Now, watch his upper body. Okay? This is right before he starts to turn to land. See his spine is in a normal position, a little bit hunched over, that's fine. But now watch as he goes to land. It extends, and that gets his arm up. So I can't draw angles with this, but it's something like this, his spine. Get that arch in his back. Okay? Then, so he extends that spine, lands, rotates and tilts, and flexes forward, and then that's what whips his arm through. Okay? And now with the arm action, right here, the arm gets up, and then as he starts to rotate, see how that ball lays back behind his head, his forearm? Right there. So he's got this big stretch across his chest, and that ball is just laying back behind his head, nice and loose. Where yours is, your arm's not getting up, but that's because you're out in front of yourself. But it lays back, then it's going to lay right back behind the elbow, and then he's going to flex forward into ball release. Boom. And then finish. Okay? And you don't want to stop your arm. You want to let it, you want to feel like you're applying force through ball release, and then you want to let that arm come down. See how he lets it come down outside of his front knee, front hip, all the way through, so you're showing the back of your shoulder to the catcher. All right? So you want to feel like you're throwing it through the target, not to it. Through the target. Aim past the target. All right? So I'm going to throw those arm action videos up now, and then, like I said, and then I'll in order give you the 3 things that are most important for you to work on right now. On the proper. Okay, here we're going to show you some drills on the proper sequence of the arm action, and just basic throwing, obviously, and pitching. But this is just basic throwing mechanics. So first, we've got a water bottle, and about a third of the way full. Obviously, this is the top of the water, this is the bottom. So we're going to start with the water in the bottom, and then we're going to step and then the water's going to move to the top as I'm turning my hips. So bottom, top, and then you want to square up and let the water go back down to the bottom. Then go ahead and throw. So bottom, top, bottom, top. Again, bottom, top, bottom, top. This front, and this front, water's at the bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top. Alright, then you can use this is a 1 pound medicine ball, just to create a little bit more resistance so that forces the pitcher to really feel that ball staying back. So bottom, top, bottom, top. And most pitchers, or a lot of guys, will miss the third part. They'll go from bottom to top to try to throw instead of bottom, top, and then this right here where you want to let it lay back behind your head as you're squaring up. Then go forward. And then also, well, we can do it from the front, bottom, top, bottom, top. Let's try to do it with some rhythm. You can do it really slow in the beginning, just to get the feel, and then do it with some rhythm. And you can also use, if you don't have a medicine ball like that, get a 3 pound dumbbell, pretty much anything, just to create a little bit more resistance, help the pitcher get the feel. Obviously this is top, bottom, front, and then go ahead and put a baseball in your hand. Front. And then when you're throwing, just make sure to stay back and let that ball come back behind your head before you start to throw. Alright, Caleb, so hopefully those videos are helpful for you. You know, that bottom, top, and then, you know, once you understand how to do that, and you can use the water bottle and just until you get the feel for it, but you can do it in front of the mirror inside the house. You don't have to be out on the field to work on this stuff. Just working on the pattern, but eventually you want to just move right through those positions. Move through the bottom, get it to the top, move through the top, back down to the bottom, through the bottom, down into the top, okay? With some rhythm. Nice, smooth, free and easy, okay? Once you get the feel with the water bottle, just you can put like a medicine ball or just put the baseball in your hand and just go through the motions. You don't have to even throw or release the ball just to work on it, okay? If you did 10 sets of 10 just inside the house, obviously not releasing the ball, that's 100 reps. Did that every day for a month, that's almost 3,000 reps. You know, you'll get a lot better at it. Okay, so that's number one. You work on that when you're playing catch. You can throw into a fence, into a target, wherever. But just focus on the feeling of that rhythm of moving through those positions. Okay, it'll be awkward at first, but anytime you're making a change, understand, once you have the understanding of what you're supposed to do different, then it's a process of trial and error. So don't be afraid to try something new. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. That's how we learn. That's how we get better. We get feedback from that. So, you know, I'll tell kids sometimes, like, once you get, and if you're having trouble getting your arm up, just think right about, as you're going to land, just reach to the sky with the ball, okay? And then when you go to rotate, drop that ball halfway down your back, even though that's not possible, but it'll get you to kind of over-exaggerate it, and then you play around. You know, not everybody's got as much flexibility in their shoulder as Chapman, so, you know, you might not have it laid back that much, but whatever feels comfortable, you just kind of find your zone. But try, you know, mess around with some different things, And don't be afraid to make a mistake, like I said, because you're just getting feedback from that. Once you find, a good, comfortable spot, then just keep repeating it. And like I said, just go at a nice, easy tempo until you get going, until your body gets acclimated with it. Okay? If you try to go full speed, if you want velocity, your focus shouldn't be on velocity. Okay, velocity is a result. We can't control that. The velocity is going to come from you getting a good, well-timed sequence in your delivery by using your body. So don't focus on the velocity, because when you force it, you get out of sequence. Just be nice and smooth, nice and easy tempo. Once you get your rhythm down, usually your body will tell you when it's ready to speed up. Okay? All right, so now, once you've gotten the arm action thing down, and you might, you don't have to have it down perfect before you start working on the other things. You might spend, say, if you go out 3 days a week and work on this stuff for an hour, you'll be stopping, looking, checking the video to make sure that you're doing things correctly. But, once you feel like you've done something, you've made a change, you might think, okay, I feel like I'm really doing it. Then, put your video camera up, do 5 reps, and then after the 5 reps, check your video, and then make adjustments accordingly. That's how you go about it. So you might spend a half an hour on just your arm action, then you might spend the next half hour on this stuff. Okay, number one is when you go to start your delivery, pick your foot up, but take your hip up, your front hip up and back. Okay, kind of like you're rocking back over your back leg. Okay? Then you're going to fall. Get lower on your back leg as you're breaking your hands. But when you go to get that leg drive, I want you to focus on when you're pushing that rubber down and back towards second base, I want you to take the bottom of your shoe up and out. Okay, so when you push that rubber down and back towards second base, I want you to focus on taking your front hip up and out, the bottom of your shoe up and out, and your glove up and out. Right away. Right as soon as you push down and back into that rubber, take your bottom of your shoe, your front hip, and your glove arm straight up and out. That whole sequence. That all 3 parts of that body. Okay? Then the next thing is, as you're going to land, I want you to take your glove arm and you're going to start to pull it down, but you want to start getting your front shoulder tilted forward. Start getting your shoulders going from this tilted position here to there at landing. Then just land and throw. Okay? So arm action, and then the 3 things are taking your front hip back as you pick up your front foot before you take the ball out of the glove. Take your front foot up and take your front hip up and back over your back hip. Then fall, break your hands, then push the rubber down and back as you take your bottom of your shoe, your front hip, and your glove up and out towards the sky. Number 3 is then to get your shoulders from that back tilted position level and then starting to tilt forward as you land. Okay? Then throw out front. All right? And again, you can work on this, in front of the mirror, before you go out in the field to work on it. You can do this stuff every day inside the house or in the backyard, wherever. Okay? You can focus on, okay, right here, I'm just going to focus on taking my front hip up and back. And just do that in front of the mirror. Put it down, lift it up, front hip up and back. Then put it back down, get set again, pick the front foot up, take your front hip up and back. All together. Right? Do that 10 times. Okay, now I'm going to focus on pushing the ground down and back as I'm taking my bottom of my foot, my hip, and my lead arm up towards the sky. And then once you've done that, then stop, come back, come set, same thing. Hip up and back. Then break your hands, push the ground down and back, take the front side up and out. Do that like 10 times. Now you're going to add in the last part. So you're going to take your front hip up and back. Then you're going to push down and back into the ground and take your front side up and out. Then you're going to lift that back shoulder so that the shoulders get level, and then start to tilt down, then land, and then throw out front. Just 3 phases. That's all you need. And then when you go out to work on it when you're playing catch, you can work on it when you're playing catch. Okay? And then when you get up on the mound, once you feel like you've got it, like I said, do 5 reps, videotape 5 reps. Then after the 5 reps, stop, check the video, and you might see, okay, I'm not really getting my front hip up and back first. It felt like I did, but I'm not. Okay, that's okay. Now I'm going to make the adjustment on these next 5 reps. Or you might see, like, gosh, I really felt like my shoulders were tilted downwards when I landed, but they're still kind of tilted back. Okay, now I got to over-exaggerate it. All right? Because a lot of times what you think you're doing is what it feels like is not actually what you're doing. Okay? And that's because you don't have that feel. You've never felt it before. But once you get the feel for the new way, then you just do reps, and don't try to do it super fast right off the bat. Then a lot of times you get out of whack. Just stay at a nice, easy tempo. Once you get the feel, then just continue to repeat it. Don't try to move too fast. It's a process, okay? But that's how you go about it. Caleb, I hope all that made sense. If you have any questions or if you're confused about anything, you can always shoot me an email, ryan@pitching.com. I saw where my dad said he would give you a phone consultation, so once you've gotten this analysis and you've looked over it, then shoot me an email, and we can set up a time to get on the phone and talk about this. All right? So Caleb, good luck with this stuff. Just work at it. Go out, have fun with it. Don't feel, don't get discouraged if you don't get it right away. Just put your head down and try to make a little bit of progress every day. A lot of little baby steps turn into one big, huge step eventually, okay? So be patient with yourself, have fun, and just understand that this will work. It's just going to take some time, okay? And but once you get it down, man, you're going to have a lot more fun pitching. So Caleb, like I said, good luck with this stuff, and take care.